Welcome to another video. I hope you all are doing well. Today I would like to discuss the controversy of Thor, aka Pirate Software, versus the Stop Killing Games movement. I'm going to explain this movement a little bit, and then we're going to tie this all into game preservation as a whole, being the most important thing going forward in the future. You see, games do not get preserved like library books, or even theater and movies to an extent. They are not protected, and the Stop Killing Games movement is trying to preserve an arm of this by stopping game companies, game devs, and corporations from ending games suddenly with no recourse. When you buy a game, you should be able to keep it forever. Like in days of old, buying a DVD or a movie. You have that DVD, and you can watch it as long as the DVD lasts. But for example, games like The Crew, an online racing game in an open world setting to a degree, ends its service and you are not able to play it anymore. All that time and effort you put into it goes down the drain. When easily the game company can put out an offline update, could easily patch in some AI drivers to drive around and compete against you, and you could easily play that game in an offline mode. But instead they just cut the game out completely. This is what the Stop Killing Games movement is trying to prevent, and with their petition, bringing it to the EU government, hopefully it succeeds and we get some recourse. Another example of this is a game called City of Heroes that was very young in its MMO life, doing well, making money, and then the game devs, the CEOs, they cut the game short, destroyed the game, shut it down, not because it wasn't making money, but because they were creating another game, and they did not want this game, City of Heroes, to compete with it. The community got together, they tried to buy the game rights, big money was offered, and the CEO would not sell the rights to the game. Ultimately, it went underground, private servers were created, but kept very well hidden, not to cause attention or possible legal backlash. Now, Pirate Software, Thor, this complete industry plant who is rooted in these CEOs, these corporations, he is against the Stop Killing Games movement. He has all these strawman arguments, and if you want to look further into this, check out Harmful Opinions on YouTube. He's doing a whole series titled I Hate Pirate Software. He breaks it down, he explains it pretty well. But basically, Pirate Software Thor is saying, what about the poor indie devs? What about them? They're supposed to keep these games running forever? They're supposed to pay for the servers forever? Well, no. There are ways around that. You could open source your game, your server technology, and let private servers run, like private server World of Warcraft, private server Ultima Online. Many MMOs have allowed the community to run private servers, and it is very successful. Another thing you could do is offline the game. Basically do what modders do. Do what pirates do, real pirates, or hackers, is you could make the game in an offline setting. This happens with many games. Right now, in the pirate scene, you could find all the Forza Horizons basically in a offline state to download. And we'll discuss more of game preservation, backups, and piracy in a little bit, and why it's so important. But basically, Pirate Software Thor is taking a hit on the nose. He is looking very bad right now, and no one is really supporting his side of it because it is a pro-corpo, pro-take your games away, rent games, don't let people keep the games they buy mentality. I don't know how anyone can support that. When you buy a game, again, like it was when I was a child, you should be able to keep the game forever. This is why the retro scene is so important. game preservation is so important. Now let's get into another take on this with Pal World vs. Nintendo. If you don't know, Nintendo is cracking down and suing Pal World, a popular game that came out that was definitely inspired by the Pokemon/Digimon series. Nintendo is going so far in saying that Pal World stole their concepts, their ideas. And so much so that Pal World in recent updates had to rearrange the game. Take out things that were in the game. No more Pal crystals. You're not throwing a crystal now and the monster comes out of it. You can't even glide on your flying mounts anymore. You'd be able to grab the legs of, for example, your eagle or hawk type monster and glide around the world hanging on it. And Nintendo said that is a direct infringement on Pokemon. I have no idea how. Now, if you wanted to play original Pal World, original concept of the game, where these things were in the game, you would have to pirate an older version. And many people have. That is game preservation at its finest. Corporation comes in, makes you change the concept and foundation of your game for no reason. Literally no reason. Nintendo's doing just fine. Pal World is not affecting their bottom line and pockets. But if you wanted to play the original concept, you would have to pirate an older version. The retro game scene definitely is running rampant nowadays. It's great to collect retro physical copy games, but a lot of these games can run you up to $100, $200, $300, up to $1,000 because someone kept it in good condition. Companies don't produce the game anymore. They don't print the CDs or DVDs anymore. And you have to go out if you want a physical copy and pay the money. The producers of these games don't make any money from that. They don't get any cut of the licensing. This is all done in small game shops, private markets, like Facebook Marketplace, etc., eBay. So why should you not be able to, if you bought the game, 10 years ago, you don't own the copy anymore, maybe it broke, why should you not be able to go online and re-download that game? You already bought the game, you bought the licensing rights, correct? This is where piracy comes in for preservation. And there are studies out there that show that piracy does not hurt movie studios, game studios. It actually helps them in the long run. Because there's been many instances of pirates buying a real copy of the game for convenience, for update cycles being easier, things like that, and also supporting the game. It is a modern day form of demo discs. Back in the day, you'd buy a video game magazine, it would come with a demo disc, have a bunch of games on the demo disc that you could try out for an hour or two before the demo would cut you off. But there is nothing like that nowadays. On Steam, there are game demos, and that is good and all. But there is no argument anymore that piracy hurts game devs. I'm sure Thor, aka Piratesoftware, who named himself that, he doesn't even believe in piracy. He hates it. He named himself that because of the Google searches to make himself more popular. Complete shill move. He would disagree with me. But now more than ever, in order to preserve these games, people are going to torrents. People are going to great backup websites that have all these games for you to procure. One of them is The Vault. I'm not going to say the first name of it because we're not allowed to. But you could easily find these websites and preserve your backups of these games. I am not advocating that, but I am telling you that there is no Library of Congress, for example, that holds every book in existence in there. And there is a modern day book burning of video games, led by game devs like Piratesoftware Thor, led by corporations that are destroying these games completely, just so they can make money off the IP in the future, just so they can shut down their servers. Some of them are still making money, but they have to come out with a new game. So they shut down these games, and there is no recourse. That's why I support the Stop Killing Games movement. And I believe every gamer should support this movement. I am tired of live service games shutting down rapidly, and there should be a means, whether in offline mode, with bots, whether private servers, but it needs to be given back to the consumer and the gamer so they have a means to play the games they invested in. But this was just a quick video on the controversy. If you agree with this or disagree, comment below. I definitely will talk more about these topics if you want to hear more about them. I am very passionate about game preservation. I think everybody should have 15 terabytes of data of every single game ever created for consoles, up to the 8th generation if possible. I love emulators. I think they are amazing technology, and the people that work on emulators and develop them, they should be given Nobel Peace Prizes. I mean that completely. Again, games are an art form. They tell a story. And if books are protected, and even theater and movies to a degree are preserved and protected, video games should be given to the consumer. When they buy a game, they should be able to keep a game forever. And the whole idea of internet-connected updates that brick games or change games like Nintendo vs. Palworld is disgusting. Corporations should be ashamed of themselves. Let me know what you think down below, and thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, subscribe for more video game tutorials, guides, and reviews, and hot takes like this. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.